Okay, welcome back to this series on interest and depreciation. So we're going to be going over the examples now for the earning and income topic. The examples we'll be doing for this video will be coming from the New Century Maths Advanced Textbook, Chapter 2.01. Okay, so question 4. Rakitu considers two jobs, a local one with an annual salary of $57,640 and the other in the city with fortnightly pay for $2,320. Which pays more per week and by how much? So let's just take the key information for this. So we have two jobs there, and we know that we have an annual salary of $57,640 for one of them. The other one, the job in the city, is fortnightly pay, and it is $23, and it is $2,320 per fortnight. So that means every 2 weeks. So we want to find out how much each one pays per week and then by how much. So because the first job is an annual salary, a salary means that we're getting paid for 52.18 weeks of work. So to get this into its weekly form, we have to divide our 57,640 by 52.18. If you put that in your calculator, you're going to get $1,104. And remember, we want to round our cents to 2 decimal places and 64 cents. Job is getting fortnightly pay, so it's not a salary, so we don't need to worry about any tricky business. But that means we're getting paid for 2 weeks of work this amount of money. So we simply just go 2,320 divided by 2, and that'll give us $1,160. So as we can see, fortnightly paid job, the one in the city, is going to be getting paid more than the annual salary job. So we're not taking into account things like annual leave and all that kind of stuff here, but purely looking at this, now all we need to do is we need to take the difference of the two. So we get our larger one, which is going to be this one here, and we're going to take away our smaller one. So the difference between the two is $55.36. Okay, so moving on to question 5 now. So Anand works 38 hours at normal rates, 7 hours at time and a half, and 4 hours at double time. Calculate his total earnings if he gets paid $19.40 at normal rates. So this question is quite straightforward. All it's doing is it's testing that we understand what the various times mean. So we've got normal time, which means he's just getting paid his normal wage. We have time and a half, which means he's getting paid his normal wage times 1.5, so an extra 50% on top of what he would normally get. And he's also doing double time, which is times 2, so double his normal rate. So you normally get time and a half if you're working on, say, a Sunday, and you would get double time in Australia if you're working on a public holiday such as Christmas. So this one's quite straightforward. He's working 38 hours. So per hour he gets paid $19.40. So 38 lots of $19.40 wages. Okay. Plus he's doing 7 hours at 1.5 times his normal wage. So 7 times $19.40 times 1.5. And then he's also doing 4 hours at double time. So 4 lots of his wage of $19.40 times 2, because he's doing double time. So what does he get? We just need to put this into our calculator. Remembering our bid maths, we do our brackets first, then we do inside our brackets multiplication and divisions, and then we finally add them all up. So what do we get? So inside this bracket he earns $737.20. He earns $203.70 when he's doing his time and a half hours. And he earns $155.20 when he's doing his double time. So we've done inside our brackets with our multiplications now. Now we've just got our additions to go in. So in total, Anand's getting $1,096.10. So it's always a good idea when you're writing money to make sure that you add on this extra decimal place just in case, because you know you're getting 10 cents, not $0.1, if that makes sense to you. Okay, so we've skipped ahead to question 14 now because the rest of them were pretty repetitive and straightforward. So in this question, we're going to be calculating the annual leave loading for each person if it is 17.5% of 4 weeks' pay. So an annual leave loading is just a little extra money that you get when you take your annual leave, which is like you have a set amount of days off and you can choose to take them all at once. And if your employer's nice, they can give you an annual leave loading, which is essentially your extra money for your holidays. So I can also see here that they've given different formats. They've given a weekly pay, a fortnightly pay, a monthly pay, and a yearly salary. So we're just going to have to convert these into weekly, times them by 4 to get the 4 weeks pay, and then just get that 17.5%. Okay, so let's start off with Peter, who's on $610 every week. So to get his 4 weeks of pay, we simply times that by 4 to get $2,440. And if we want to get 17.5% of this, as we should know, percent is the same thing as timesing it by 1 on 100. So 17.5 divided by 100, that is the same thing as 17.5%. So if we times this by our 17.5% in our calculator, we should get $427. So that's the extra money that he gets on top for his holidays there. Okay, so moving on to Jamila, who gets $2,000 a fortnight. So remember, a fortnight is already 2 weeks, and we want to try and get 4 weeks. So if this is 2 weeks pay up there already, we simply need to double it and we'll be on 4 weeks pay. So I can do that in my head. 2,000 times 2 is $4,000 for 4 weeks pay. So if I want to take my 17.5% of this, I'm simply going to times it by, again, my 17.5 on 100. And as you should know that this, if you're dividing something by 100, you simply move the decimal place 2 over here because you've got 2 zeros. So you're just timesing it by 0.1. And remember, if you want to get this in decimal form, you can simply move the decimal place 2 over for these 2 zeros. So if I move it 1 and then 2, that's where my decimal place goes. So we end up with 0.175. So 4,000 times 0.175 in my calculator gives me $700. Okay, so now on to Samir, who earns $5,944 every month. So because we don't know what month it is, and the months can all be a different amount of days, we're going to convert this into years because we know that there's always 12 months in a year. 5,944 times 12 would give him $71,328 every year. So we're assuming here that Samir earns a wage and not a salary. So therefore we only need to divide this by 52 because we know that there are 52 weeks in a year. So that's going to give us $1,371.69. So that's per week. And then we want to try and get that to 4 weeks of pay, which is going to give us $5,486.77. So now I'm going to times that by my 17.5%, which as we know in decimal form is 0.175, which is going to give me $960.18. So now we have Ellie, who's earning what looks like a salary because she's getting paid by the year. So for her, we're going to divide her total $46,630 by 52.18. Because remember, if they have a salary, we have to count for those leap years. So that's going to give us a weekly bit by bit payment of $893.64. So we now know that we're getting $893.64 every week. So if we times that by 4 to get her every 4 weeks' pay, we get $3,574.55. And then we take our 0.175 for our 17.5%, which is going to give us $625.55. Our last question now, which is question 15, which says, for his annual holiday, Jake received 4 weeks of pay and his 17.5% annual leave loading, so and meaning you got both. For those 4 weeks, so moving on to question 15, which is, for his annual holidays, Jake received 4 weeks of pay and, so meaning you got both, his 17.5% annual leave loading. If Jake's salary is $50,725, find his weekly pay, the total pay for his holiday, and his annual leave loading. So that should be pretty easy, seeing what we've just done. So we'll get started onto his weekly pay, which should be fairly straightforward because we know he's getting a salary. We divide his total salary by 52.18, which is going to give us $972.12. So that's how much he gets paid every week. So it's probably going to be easier to do C next because we're going to need C anyway to do B. So his annual leave loading, which is going to be 4 lots of this over here, and then times 0.175. If you put all of that into your calculator, you should get $680.48. Okay, so the total pay of his holidays is he gets this extra annual leave loading plus 4 weeks of his weekly pay, which is this. So simply we're going to do 4 lots of his weekly pay, which is $972.12, and then simply add on the $680 plus 48 at the end. So again, following your order of operations or your bid mass. So remember, we do inside our brackets first. These stands for indices, there's no indices. Then your divisions and your multiplications, which is going to be none. And after that, you're going to do your addition and subtraction. So just remember, within the brackets, if you've got another bracket, you have to go redo this thing again. So if we do inside our brackets here, we see that we get $3,888.48 plus this extra bit here. Okay, so we're just adding that on. Okay, so that just goes down to there. And then if we simply add this across, we get a total of $1,568.96, which is pretty good for doing no work.